Ever wish you had someone to tell you the truth about what it takes to run a successful business and live a fulfilling life? Well, amiguita, you've come to the right place. So grab your favorite cafecito or cocktail, your courage, and let's get to work. I'm Jenna Saborges, a therapist, business strategist, mindset coach for entrepreneurs, and a feisty Latina from Miami. And I'm determined to teach you the exact tools you need to stop settling and start kicking some serious derriere. What do you say? Are you in? Then let's get started. Welcome to Latinas Empowering Latinas podcast. Super excited to welcome Meryl Berger. She is an official honorary Latina. So I want to clarify too for everybody. Just because this is the Latinas Empowering Latinas podcast doesn't mean that everybody is not welcome. So if you're listening right now, or if you've been on the podcast, you're honorary Latina. We love you all. We just want to grow our community. And I want to bring you the best of the best. Today, I want to introduce you to Meryl Berger, who is my official Orlando, Disney, Universal, Islands of Adventure planner. I will never go to Disney without her again. Oh. And the reason that I have her on here is because I want to focus on the importance of customer service and over-delivering, even when you're over-promising. So I usually tell people under-promise, over-deliver. And Meryl over-promises and over-delivers every single time. And I'll tell you how. But I want to welcome Meryl. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I am so excited to have this opportunity with you.
I love seeing everybody's face and I love facial expressions. I know you guys can't see, but I want you guys to close your eyes and picture a wall full of mini ears right behind Meryl. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. How many do you have? I know you have them custom made for you.
I do. I even have my preferred vendors. I've lost count because a couple of them break over the years. I have toddlers, and if you see where they're hanging right now, they're at the very top of my sort of business cubicle. And I had hang them higher because my children kept coming and taking them down. I had them very cutely arranged. Oh. And my two kiddos would come in, they would take them off the wall and they would play with them. And then they're not necessarily gentle with things. So my very special collection here, it was getting a little rough. So I hung them higher. But I probably have somewhere around like 26 right now.
26? I think I've never seen you wear one twice. So it's funny. Okay. I'm going to get into a lot of different things talking to Meryl. I want to learn about her story, why she decided to do what she does, how she can help you plan your fabulous Disney trip, because I literally will never, ever, ever, ever go anywhere near there without Meryl again. How it works to show up in a business and give your all, and how that makes such a difference in the little moments. And I get to provide you my personal, by the way, I'm not getting paid for this. There's no bonus for this. I don't want you guys to think that it's like a plug. Like, this is how awesome Meryl is. And I love to support other women that are just doing amazing things. Meryl, tell me how you got started. I believe from my understanding, and we've never had this conversation before because I like to have these conversations on the podcast. How did you work for so you're kind of independent, but you work for a company that somebody else made, but you function almost like an entrepreneur, but as part of a team. Explain that.
Yes. Okay. So the best analogy I can give you is that it's kind of like a real estate office. You have your brokerage and then you have your individual agents. Okay. So if you think of the owner of my company of Smart Moms Travel as my broker, and then I am an individual agent, but also a business owner because it is my business. Like a real estate agent, they're also business owners.
So it is your own business.
It is my own business.
I didn't know. Oh, this makes this extra fun. Okay. Tell me how you even got started working with them. How did you connect with them? And then what is it like? All these questions at once, because I'm bombarded with all these questions now. What is it like to work as your own boss under a bigger company? But also I see how much you guys work as a team. Like, I love following you, and where can people find you on Instagram? We'll share it again, but let's do it now.
All right. So you can find me at Palm Trees and Pixie Dust.
But you have one that's like chasing pixie dust or something.
Oh, that's my show. So I do a live show.
There you go. That's my colleague. There's chasing pixie dust somewhere.
It is. And we have neglected to actually put the handle on Instagram because we still operate out of our own individual accounts. But my colleague and bestie, her name is Kayla. And she and I host a live show every so often on Instagram talking about all kinds of things, but primarily Disney and Universal focused. And that's called Chasing Pixie Dust.
That's what I think about every time I think about it. You're like the pixie dust.
Yes.
You have a business besties too, and we love that too. What made you want to start your own business, and how did you connect with Smart Moms?
It's a long story, but I've loved Disney my entire life. It's clearly been a lifelong passion ever since I was really little. And when I was about a million months pregnant moving down here. And I remember I was so sick pregnant that my husband would even let me drive my car down. We were moving down from Pennsylvania and he drove me the whole way because he was like, I just feel like you're going to need to pull over and vomit in the summertime.
Oh my gosh.
That's how ill I was. Sorry, that's probably too much information. But
No,
anyway,
no, but thanks for the visual.
sorry. All right. So I was quite ill, very pregnant, moving down to Southwest Florida, to Naples, Florida. The entire time that we were on the drive down here, I kept talking about how excited I was that we were going to be living within striking distance of Disney World. So that's how deep the love is
Hmm.
within me. All I could talk about was how excited I was when the time came to finally take our kids there, our firstborn, which I was still pregnant at the time. When we got here, I met some people and they told me about this planning group on Facebook called Smart Moms Plan Disney.
Like
And so
randomly? They just
just ran
randomly brought it
we
up?
were we were chit-chatting about Disney and they were saying that they were annual pass holders. I was like, "Oh, that's really great. I hope to be one someday." And then they said, "Well, you should join this planning group if you think you'll be going soon." So I joined just a Facebook group on Facebook that you can find, Smart Moms Plan Disney. There's a lot of members. So I joined and like literally every single day, I was looking at it for tips and guides on how to be a Disney person. It fed into my obsession, of course, because I was already someone who loved Disney, but I had not been to Disney World since I was 25 at that point because my husband and I were traveling a ton with our jobs at the time. So I had kind of lost touch with a lot of the tips and tricks that you learn along the way because Disney's, as you know from working with me, there's a lot of tips and tricks that you kind of need to navigate through to make it the best trip for you. Through that process, I learned that Smart Moms had a travel agency. And I was like, that's neat because I'm planning a big trip soon. And I'd like to work with a travel agent because I've got a lot of people attending this trip. So I reached out to within Smart Moms Plan Disney group and I looked for a travel agent and I got connected with one. And within minutes of talking with her, I was like, why am I not doing this? This is what I
Mm.
should be doing. This is my calling. While working with her, I applied and got accepted to be a Smart Moms travel agent. So I not only got to plan a big family trip with her, I became a member of Smart Moms Travel and a travel agent myself. So I got to learn so much from her. She became my mentor within the company.
Aw.
And then I joined her team, which is Team Animal Kingdom. Her name is Jessica Graves, and she's about the most incredible person on earth. And I'm so grateful for her every day. That's how I became a Smart Moms travel agent. It was through the love of Disney and somehow planning a big family trip with everybody. I knew that in that first conversation with her that that's what I need to be doing with my life.
I love that. That feels so good. Okay. Explain to me, just because I'm always curious and nosy, how it works that I'm going to use all the wrong words. So I
That's
guess
fine.
they're like the umbrella company and you're your own person. How does it work? I'm even thinking just logistically because I'm a big community person and like supporting
Sure.
one another. And I always tell people like there's more than enough room for growth. Collaborate, don't compete. And I've never seen such a beautiful example as with your
Aw.
team, because I'm thinking like this, like you guys are all travel agents. You guys, I'm sure, work off of commission. So how do you get along so well and like share this group and not hunting each other down? Because the sadness that I see with other entrepreneurs is they're in this lack mentality and everybody wants to paw all over each other to get up. And I don't feel that in your community at all. And it's so refreshing.
Oh, that is wonderful to hear. So thank you for that. We have, of course, a wonderful leader all the way to the top. Jessica is our team lead, and she fosters this wonderful environment as well. For us, it does help that we're all in different cities. So we're not fighting for the same clients within the same town. That, of course, does help. I recognize logistically that does add to our ability to support each other, but Disney's for everybody. And there's so many people out there that are wanting to get to the magic. And there's a lot of moving pieces, and we help each other grow it within our business because there is clients that come from, let's say, South Dakota that are going to have very different needs than my clients coming from Florida. But if I get a client from South Dakota, I know that I can contact Kayla and she's going to help me understand what the specific needs are for a family coming from that area because that's where she lives. It really does help. Just take something simple like ground transportation. If you're flying into Disney World versus driving from another city around here, like in the Southeast, you have to factor in ground transportation. And that's something that if I primarily work with clients that just drive, I would have to learn the ground transportation part. Now I've been doing this for a while. So I've clients flying in from all over, even internationally. And I've now learned how to do all those things. But you have your team there to help guide you through those parts.
You're pulling at my heartstrings as you're talking, and my face, I'm sure, is changing. You're like, what's wrong? What did I say? And it's like, it's so emotional because it's really why I wanted to create this community to begin with, because I want people to understand that you should lean on people and you should let people lean on you. And there's only room for growth when you do that. And so many people lose sight of that. And exactly what you're saying is the strategy, the connection. I'm leaning on this person, they're leaning on me. We're growing together. And I want everybody to hear me. We grow together. Whenever you try to do things on your own and you try to paw people around, you're going to lose. And somehow, some way, morally, emotionally, long-term, short-term, you're going to lose. Meryl is a person who's her own boss within a company, and she has team members that, if you want to think about it, are actually her competition, but they don't compete, they collaborate, and they just grow even more. Okay, now, when we first met, I think it was in a Naples Moms Facebook group.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And I don't know if I asked a question or you posted or something. And I remember I'm like, okay, some backstory for me. My aunt, shout out to my aunt, who is a travel agent herself. No, she's fine. I'm like a mini travel agent. I was very close to her. She's like a second mom. So
Aw,
I love planning and I love strategizing and I love all this, but I always want to know more.
sure.
And I find so much value, and I explain to everybody I coach, you need to find your ICA, you need to find your niche. So Meryl, who's your ICA?
ICA? What's that term?
Your ideal client. Who's
Oh,
your
my
ideal
ideal
client?
client.
Yeah, no, sorry, I'm using all my terminology. My apologies. Who is your ideal client? Like, who is the client you love and you cater to?
I love all my clients, but really I love catering to the client that like build a specific trip just for their family that's right for them.
So it's a mom.
So like moms are huge for me. I work with a lot of moms. I'd say most of my clients are moms. A lot of my clients are grandparents too that are taking their grandkids
Okay. And then
because
your niche is getting to Disney.
is
So I
getting to
want to make
Disney.
it very clear. It's usually women, and
Yes.
they either have children or have grandchildren and they're getting to
Mhm.
Disney. Meryl's not a travel agent. She's a very specific travel agent. And this is what I teach. My aunt is a travel agent. She used to teach travel at
Mhm.
FIU, and I used to handwrite tickets. Like when you used to handwrite, you used to have to like go pick up your
That's
ticket,
so
and
cool.
it was like carbonate, you like split it.
Yeah.
And I learned everything from her. And I remember when I was planning the trip, I was like, hey, can you help me with Disney stuff? She's like, sure. What do you want to know? She knows everything, but that's not her
Sure.
specialty.
Mhm.
And I remember when I met you, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I can do this. I'm like, but I don't want to, like, how much does it cost to work with you? And you're like, no, it's free. And I'm like, what? So I want to make sure everybody knows this. You don't have to like give us all the details, but how is it? My question's always like, but how are you free?
It's a great question. So, and this is true for a lot of travel agents, we are compensated through the provider that you book with. The rate that you pay is the same whether you work with a travel agent or you don't. So, say you book your own Disney World trip or your own Universal trip and you do all of that hard work all yourself, you pay X amount of dollars. You're going to pay that X amount of dollars whether or not you do it or I do it. But if you have me,
Mm-hmm.
they don't pocket the money they would have paid in commission. They pay me to be your advocate. So
So
I take everything off your plate.
I'm gonna say everything everybody listening is thinking.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. Okay. What's the catch?
None.
I know. And I couldn't believe that either. And I'm like such a good person. And I'm like, no, I want to give you, I know when we talk with stuff, I'm like, but do you get credit for this? I want to make sure you get paid for that. Like I'm like the opposite of other people. But I was like, how do you get paid? And I don't pay extra,
Yeah, that's
but it's possible. Oh my gosh. So Meryl is, this is my version of Meryl. Meryl's my Meryl. I talk about you in my house and he's like, Meryl, I'm like, our Disney lady. She's our
oh,
Disney person. Meryl plans soup to nuts of the entire trip. I'll let you get into it and I'll share my personal experiences with you.
oh.
She is almost like a Disney butler. It's like having your own personal Disney concierge,
I
party
love it.
planner, like white glove service. Like Meryl brings it all. And I'm sure
Oh,
her teammates as well, but
yes,
like
they're
this
wonderful.
Meryl's mine. So I'm gonna like kind of like, I'll share her, but she's mine. But it was hard to understand how it works. So I'll let you explain to everybody else now that I got to like love on you a little how
Oh,
it
I
works.
appreciate
And then I'll give you examples of how you showed up with me with customer service that really like, that's why I say I will never, ever go without you again. And I want everybody to plan their Disney trips with Meryl. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much. So what happens is initially we would connect and then I would through that conversation understand what you're looking for with your trip. And then I try to help customize your vacation for you. So once we get through everything, we actually plan out what you're looking for, we pick your resort, we pick your number of park days, all of those things. Then I would book it for you. And as your advocate, I would book it directly through Disney and we would put down your deposit, which for those of you who may or may not know, a deposit for a Disney vacation package is only $200 and it is fully refundable until you travel, or excuse me, until 30 days prior to travel.
200 per person.
Nope, $200 total.
Yep.
So
Just wanted to clarify.
yes. So if you book, let's say the average family of 4 is headed to Disney World in March, at the end of March, because we're getting close to that, then all you would put down would be $200 to hold the reservation and everything, and then you would pay the final payment 30 days prior. You can make payments along the way, which is very nice. I have a lot of clients that do that because it just makes it a little bit easier. It kind of chunks it out. And then by the time you travel, you've already paid for your trip, which for me, I really like that aspect because then I'm not worried about anything when I get there. I've already paid for it. We're here and we're going to enjoy it. So anyway,
It's almost like a built-in payment plan.
it is. It really is. Kind of like I jokingly call it vacation layaway because you
Oh,
can
I
pay for
like
it along
that.
the
Vacation
way.
layaway.
Yeah,
Disney
exactly.
layaway.
Disney layaway. So, yeah, so you work with me and we help customize your trip. We book it and then you put your deposit down, then you put your final payment in 30 days prior, and then I'm compensated after you travel. So you don't pay for anything at all to work with me as long as I book your trip. Now, I do have some clients that have booked their trip on their own and they feel like they really need the guidance. So I do have what we refer to as planning fee clients. And that's kind of like what you
Okay.
would consider a wedding planner, where you pay them a rate to be your partner through this process. And that's how I like to refer to myself. I am your partner through this process. You
Mhm.
are not doing Disney alone. You are doing Disney with an advocate. And that's what I'm here for.
I remember when we first connected, I'm like, okay, this is what I would like. And you gave me the options and the dates and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, thank you. And you're like, no problem. And then you were sending me emails and messages like, do you think you know where you want to eat? And what days do you want to be in the park? And I'm like, I don't know the answers. I'm like, do you have any suggestions? Like, sure, yeah. You plan the resorts,
Mhm,
you plan travel if needed,
mhm.
you
Except for airlines.
plan,
I can't do that.
no, but like the ground transportation
Ground
stuff.
transportation. Mhm.
You recommend resorts,
Yes.
whether, okay, the parks.
Mhm.
Meryl sent me a little care package with like maps and directions. And I remember the first time we went, my husband had just surgery and we needed a scooter.
Yes.
There was an issue with that. And I text Meryl and I'm like, I don't know what day it was or what time it was, but it was either really early or really late, or it was like a Sunday. And you're like, I'm on it. I'm like, really? So I'm walking around Disney. Then or I thought, because of course technology doesn't always work in my favor, as Meryl just saw, my photo pass wasn't linked in on the phone yet. And I was like, Meryl, we're not getting pictures. Did we pay for the pictures? Like, yep, you got it. I'm like, are you sure? And like, yep, Meryl, I'm walking. I don't know where I was. I was in Epcot and I was walking to Japan and suddenly my pictures were connected. I'm like, I have pictures. Meryl fixed her pictures. So I'm like walking around the park and I don't have to stop to make these phone calls. She's on my scooter. She's on my pictures, reservations for dining. Like it was nonstop, everything that she did for me. And one trip I like wanted to cry. I remember one day I was like trying to
Oh.
get tickets for something and she's like, I'm on it. I got it. I'm like, but it's like so early. You're like, I'm on it. And I'm like, okay. And then I felt so guilty. And you're like, no, like this is what you're paying for. I'm like, but I'm not paying. You're like, yeah, you booked through me. And it was like this foreign concept because if you think about it, you're booking your trip and you're getting none of the support.
Yeah.
You're actually just getting a really long hold time on Disney if you need something. And you usually end up waiting for us.
Yep, that's part of my services. And if you call, like, is the average consumer, if they call directly to Disney, you could be sitting on hold for like 2 hours, even just to book your trip.
Mhm.
And a lot of clients do that, or not clients, a lot of guests will do that. They'll call directly to Disney to book because they're overwhelmed. There's 26 different resorts, 26 different resorts to choose from. And not everybody realizes this when they're planning, especially this is Disney World that we're primarily talking about. I do plan Disneyland as well, but Disney World is its own animal. I mean, it's a world. So
Mhm.
it's a wealth of information to know and understand. And there's too many things to do even on one trip. And a big part of what I hope that I offer my clients is a way to customize a trip that makes sense for them, where they can truly enjoy everything that they want to on that trip without over planning it. Because when you over plan your time, then you don't get to have those moments where you just take it all in and experience everything that's coming in your direction. Like the really simple things like walking through Hollywood studios and just looking down at the ground and seeing Andy's shoe print.
Mhm.
You have no idea how exciting it is for kids to notice that. Like, oh, look at the size of Andy's shoe. Because when you walk in Toy Story Land, you're a toy. So
Mhm.
everything's going to be larger than life. So, my goal as your partner when we're planning these trips together is to take all of those hard things off of your plate and help guide you through those decisions because it's intense. There's so many different restaurants, so many different resorts, so many different things that you can experience, but not every single one of those things is necessarily the best match for your family. So when you
Exactly.
tell me about your family and I understand what really is going to matter to them, like say your kid's really super excited about space. Space is awesome, right? And you're going to Epcot. Well, yeah. you're going to want to go to Space 220 restaurant where you can actually go up in what
Mhm.
seemingly is a space experience for your meal. And that's how I can help you customize something that makes sense for you. And you're already paying for my services whether you book with me or not. So if you book directly, you're paying for a travel agent, you're just not getting the service.
And nobody understands that, not until we talk about it. So I wanted to make sure to highlight that.
Thank
So I'm
you.
going to tell you some other little moments that for me, it wasn't about the gift, it was about the gesture. So remember,
Oh.
I think it was our second trip. We went to Animal Kingdom. Sorry, second trip with Meryl. Which is different than just two trips. And I remember we got to stay there and you had mailed me, you're like, who's your favorite character? And I'm like, Goofy. And you're like, okay. So right before our trip, I got like a little package with little Goofy socks. And I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, it's like something so small, but to me, it meant so much. And
Oh.
I remember one of those moments that you were explaining of like taking it all in, and we're in Animal Kingdom, which I'll tell you the story, like every family is different
Mhm.
and everybody's journey is different. I talk about a lot about that on the podcast too. And my parents worked really, really, really hard, as did my grandparents, to give us things that they didn't have.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'll overshare, and my parents, I love you, so I'm saying it fondly, that we would go on trips and we couldn't afford to stay on property.
Mhm.
I remember one of the times I started going with my family and we went to dine at Animal Kingdom. I remember passing by and say, I hope one day I can eat there. And then I remember going to eat there and saying, oh my God, this is so nice. I would love to stay there one day. And these are all things that my parents couldn't do and I couldn't do at
Yeah.
the time. A few years ago, we went and Meryl booked our trip, and I'm in Animal Kingdom, walking, staying in the resort, and my kids are looking at the animals from our balcony. And it was one of those moments where I finally took a deep breath because I'm one of those over planners, as Meryl knows, because she's planning and I'm planning with her. And it's like my trip. And she's like, Janessa, but I got it. And I'm like, no, but I got it too. So, and we're sitting in front of the fireplace and my kids are there. And I had my pajamas on because that was one of my like things. And I had my Goofy socks on and I had them in front of the fireplace and I was just sitting there relaxing. I'm like, oh, like I made it. Like I made
Yeah.
it on Disney property. And I not only ate here, but I got to have my family sleep here. And we
Yeah.
did this. And it was like years and generations worth of work. And we're here. To you, it was a pair of socks you mailed your customers. And to me, it was this monumental moment of like, wow, I did this.
You're gonna make me cry.
But people don't realize, but that was, and that's what I mean by customer service. You know what I mean? You made such a difference by doing something so small and the whole experience. Like, again, now imagine this story, this little girl who always dreamed of staying on Disney property. And I'm not saying at a Disney resort. I'm talking about
Yeah.
like an off property, right? I
Yeah.
think we did that once when I was like after college, when my parents were finally able to do that for us.
Yeah.
And here I am, and we were able to bring our family like there. We were staying there,
Yeah.
and it was just like this connection of like, wow. And my kids will never understand that. They'll never live that, and that's okay. The customer service you provide, again, you're saying like, here's what I do, but you guys don't understand emails, mood boards with where to eat, the restaurants at each park, and then you move them along depending on the days you're going to go, and then you color code the day, and then like the service these women provide is phenomenal, in addition to the fact that I didn't have to take time away from my kids when the scooter wasn't there or the pictures weren't connecting. I just called Meryl and she did it. So I was enjoying the park and you were working behind the scenes to make it an amazing trip, and it's always been, and that's why I say I will never not. And I want all of you listening to understand your customers are more than people you're trying to get to buy from you. They're people you're serving, they're experiences you're making, they're lifelong memories for people.
They
So
are.
treat people how you want to be treated. Under promise and over deliver always. And Meryl really has been one of the first people that I've personally encountered and worked with on my stuff that has over promised and over delivered every single time. Every
Oh.
single time. And I'm not saying it again. I mean, sometimes I'll text Meryl, I'm like, I love you, I miss you. And she's like, me too. And I'm like, she probably thinks I'm a nutcase. And I'm like,
No.
I'm so like fond of the experiences that I've had because of the facilitation that she's brought to it. So I'm really grateful for that.
I'm grateful for you. I have the most wonderful job in the world. I really do. And one of the great parts about it is when I have a client that I get to work with on more than one trip, like I feel like I know them. Like I've gotten to know them. And they're now my friends. Like you are my friends. I don't just see you as somebody that I work with and I plan Disney with. You are my friend now. And I want like when you post pictures of your family, like I legit cry. Like I tear up watching them because I see their smiles and I see your kiddos and I'm just like, oh my goodness, that makes my heart sing. I genuinely care. Like I genuinely care that my clients have an amazing time at Disney. And if anything isn't perfect, like I'm one of the people that like that's going to hurt my heart if something didn't go right, even if it's beyond my control. it will hurt my heart that something didn't go right. And I will want so desperately to make it right in some way because I care that much. I
Mhm.
care that much when I see your smiling faces on your pictures. Like it was honestly, I got to see your one of the fun things is when I was fixing your photos, that meant I got to see them.
Oh, that's right. I
And
didn't think of that. That's right. That's right.
so when I opened up, I was like, "Oh, there they are." Like, and that matters just it's just like looking at my own family photos because we've worked, a lot of times people plan Disney pretty far out. And so
Mhm.
we've worked together for a while and we've been through all of this together. And there I am, and I get to see your photos too because I'd activated the pass for you. And I got to see your kiddos and your husband. And I was just like, there they are.
Yep.
There they are. They made it. And
Yep.
I genuinely feel that right along with you. So you're
Mhm.
not planning Disney alone when you're planning with
Yeah.
me. I'm
Yep.
there. I may not be physically there with you, but I am there in spirit and I'm cheering you on the whole way.
Yep. And I love that. I love that. And I mean, this is just the beginning. And I'm sure as my kids become teenagers, we'll travel more to like islands of adventure and
Sure.
Universal that she also does. We've
Yes.
been there once. And I think we're kind of getting near that age too and stage. But it's been really, really this incredible journey. Meryl, I am so grateful for you. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to share with everybody?
Well, mainly just with Disney. Disney can be overwhelming, and so can Universal. And I feel like I know I didn't talk as much about Universal, and I
Oh, we
do love
can.
it just
We
as
can
much.
we can dip in real quick. So my son is a Vavid. You know, you're talking about space. My son and Meryl at this point, I don't even like fill out a form for Meryl. I text her. I'm like, hey, we want to go, wherever. And you're like, okay. And then she's like, Alyssa and Eric, they're this age and this age, right? Yeah, okay. And they like this, yes. So it's like this whole personal text conversation that's happening. Eric is obsessed with dinosaurs.
Yes.
I remember I'm like, okay, he's obsessed with dinosaurs. We went for his birthday, and I'm like, okay, Meryl, where is dinosaurs? And she's like, okay, here's what you want to do. And I'm walking into the park and she's like, remember, ask, and I forgot already. You're like, ask for this park, not for the other one. You're going the wrong place. And I'm like, okay, okay. But like I'm walking in and she knows my schedule. And I'm walking into the park, she knows the time and she's messaging me. Tell us a little bit about Islands of Adventure and
Sure.
Universal since I left them out.
I have a lot of love for both of them, and the great part about Universal is that it has things to interest for a whole bunch of different people. Yes, dinosaurs are at Islands of Adventure, and you will find that with there's the new, very very thrilling, we'll call it Velocicoaster that I will never get on. Not going to happen. That's there, and it looks amazing. My husband is desperate to ride it. It doesn't have a harness though, so that is why I'm not riding. I know it's science. The science is there, and it's very sound. But I'm a big fraidy cat, and I'm not going to get on it. But it's like a lap bar, and when you're inverted, you're kind of like dangling there, but you're going so fast that you're kind of pushed back in your seat. It's super thrilling. If you love thrill rides, this is the ride for you. It's going to probably one that you ride over and over again. For me, not going to happen. All right. So that's an Islands of Adventure. And then they also have the Wizarding World of Harry Potter is in both Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios. So there's two separate things. You have Hogsmeade and then you have Diagon Alley. And now they have the magic, or I see, I keep messing up the terms. It's the Hogwarts Express, but there used to be something at Disney called the Magical Express. So I keep accidentally calling that Universal. So my apologies. So the Hogwarts Express is now there, and it's a train that will take you between the two. So you can do all things Harry Potter at Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure. And of course, there's a water park there called Volcano Bay. And it's an exceptional water park. It's got a giant volcano right there in the center. And you can do a lot of really neat things there as well. But of course, the main love goes to the two primary parks. And Epic Universe is in production. That's
What's
going to
Epic
have
Universe?
it's a whole new park that Universal is
What?
building. I know. And guess what's going to be there?
What?
Mario.
Who?
Super Mario.
Oh my God, we're still going to be there next. When is this opening, Meryl?
As of right now, I think they're targeting 2025. So it's going to be a minute.
Oh
The
my
Super Mario
gosh.
Land is about to
That's
open in.
Eric's new thing. We've
Yeah.
gone from dinosaurs from Super Mario. And please, does anybody have Pokemon? Not
I'm
yet.
not a big,
Different park.
I don't
No,
know.
it's
Yeah.
okay. Wasn't sure. Just asking since I had you on.
I'm not a Pokemon person, so I don't know too much about it.
Okay. Yeah, just wait, Meryl. Just wait.
Right.
Coming.
I'm sure it is.
Oh my gosh.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Very cool.
So,
And I know Islands of Adventure. I always thought it was the same park. So it's
mhm,
kind of like people say Disney World, but there's really Epcot and right and
yeah.
Magic Kingdom and all that stuff.
So there's four different parks at Disney World that are the four primary parks are Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Epcot, and Animal Kingdom. Those are the
Okay.
four main parks. There's also two water parks at Disney World, and those are Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach. Right now, usually one is open, one of the water parks is open, and the other one is typically closed lately since COVID. A lot of things have changed. And anybody who's listening that hasn't been to Disney World since COVID, there have been a lot of changes. And that's another reason why it's valuable to have a travel agent because the experiences or even just the process of going
Completely
to
different. And now
it's
things
completely
are
different.
starting to open up a little bit at a time, but you still really need to know like what's opening when. Oh, you know what? While I have you on, talk to us about
Sure.
the passes. Okay. Do you get credit for
Ah.
passes too, or only passes? Tell us what you get credit for.
Okay, so if you're booking with me, I'm only commissioned for vacation packages and then tickets of 3 days or more. So I can help with anybody that's going to Disney World for at least 3 park days and
Or
then
their resort.
or their resort. Like if
Okay.
anytime you book a resort with me, I can help you. If you book a vacation package, that's where you have both the tickets and the resort linked together as a package deal. And so I help that's primarily what I do. And then you can book them separately though, and I can still get credit as long as you're going to the parks at least for 3 days, then I still get credit
Okay.
for it. Now I do have some clients that go for less. That's perfectly fine. If you're booking your hotel with me, I don't mind helping facilitate the process of you booking your tickets if you're going for less than 3 days, but I do have to get compensated. So,
Of course. No, it has to, of course.
you know, and it just wouldn't be fair to my other clients if I, was focusing on somebody that wasn't getting compensated.
Of
So,
course. No, that makes
um,
sense completely.
but yeah, so I can help with almost everything. It's a little different for Universal. They're a smaller park. And if you haven't been to Universal, when you get there, you walk into City Walk, which is like their main out. It's kind of like Disney Springs. If you've been to Disney, but not Universal, it's an outdoor dining and entertainment district. And then you walk either to the left to go to Islands of Adventure, or to the right to Universal Studios. And everything is very walkable in that area. You can walk between the two parks within 7 minutes, unlike Disney World, where you have to take transportation from one park to another.
Okay, great. Awesome. Oh, thank you so much, Meryl. Well, it's been so nice chatting, and I can keep on talking forever and ever. So maybe we'll have you back again, but
I would love
please, yes,
that.
please let us know where everybody, again, I know you mentioned it before, but where can everybody find you if they want to work with you? What's the best way?
Best way to reach me, you can either find me on Instagram at Palm Trees and Pixie Dust. You can find me on Facebook, probably Googling or Facebooking the name.
We can put the links in on the episode show notes. So we'll make
Oh,
sure to do that too.
perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's Meryl Berger, Smart Moms Travel Agent on Facebook. Or I think if you do the at Palm Trees and Pixie Dust Travel, you'll find me on
Okay.
Facebook as well.
We'll
Those are
make
the
sure
two
to link all
easiest
that,
ways.
guys. Yeah. So if you have a hard time finding it, we'll put it on the show notes. Thank you so much, Meryl, not only for all the experiences, but for joining us today and being an honorary Latina on the podcast. Thank you
Thank,
so much. It was so nice chatting.
thank you. This has been amazing.
Oh,
I loved it.
good. I'm glad. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited you tuned in. The best way to find out the second a new episode is released and receive all the valuable tools and actionable steps I share is to subscribe to the podcast, so make sure you do that. Sending you so much love until next time. Bye.